Welcome to episode 58 of the Thought for Food podcast with Tyler Pierce. Welcome and welcome back to the Thought for Food podcast, where our goal is to help you adopt a healthy, compassionate, and adventurous plant-based lifestyle by sharing with you the science, the tools, and the routines needed to thrive in the modern world. We talk with academics, athletes, and entrepreneurs about what it means to live well, and go in-depth on complicated scientific topics to make evidence-based nutrition simple and practical for everyone. No dogma, no drama, just facts. And of course, we throw our own unique brand of humor into the mix to keep you entertained along the way. And TFF is hosted by Jackson and Aaron. I am Jackson. I am a plant-based cyclist, passionate world traveler, and I have a bachelor's degree in integrative physiology and public health, and I'm currently pursuing my master's degree in applied nutrition. Aaron Stuber, who is not part of this interview, is a registered nurse specializing in cardiovascular care. He is a dad and an ultra marathon trail runner. So we kind of cover a lot of bases, and we're really dedicated to helping pursue and create this culture of plant-based adventure living. So today on the show, our guest is Tyler Pierce, also known as the Vegan Cyclist on YouTube. Tyler creates absolutely amazing videos, and they're really about living the vegan cyclist lifestyle. And he also races as a Cat 2 in Northern California, so he kind of documents his life as a cyclist. So we talk about his transition from eating melted cheese on Doritos, yes, he actually did that, to completely transforming into an elite endurance athlete through a vegan diet. We also get into how cycling channels his love of adventure and competition, and how he's raising his 6-year-old kid while balancing the other components of his life and still training hard and, living on a plant-based diet. So we had a super fun conversation that I really hope you enjoy, and will maybe even inspire you to try something new to potentially discover your purpose or your passion. But before we jump into it, I just have a few more things to cover really fast. I just want to extend a huge thank you to everyone who has contributed to TFF by subscribing to the podcast and or leaving a review on iTunes. That really helps. And even going as far as kicking us some extra cash to make this thing better via our Patreon page. Really means a lot, and we love you all. You can also check us out on our other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And be sure to check into our weekly Instagram live Q&A sessions on Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Big cheers. Really excited for that. We're also giving away a very special, very soft, and oh so very sexy Thought for Food t-shirt or women's tank over on our YouTube channel. All you have to do to be eligible to win this is to subscribe to the channel, which is Thought for Food TV, and leave a comment on the vlog titled T-shirt Giveaway, describing the epic adventure that you will take this shirt on if you win, and we will choose our favorite. So I'm also leaving for an epic road trip through California in about a couple weeks, and I will be starting in Northern California starting in early March, and then making my way all the way down to Palm Desert at the end of the month before cruising up through Joshua Tree and potentially Arizona and Utah before heading back to Idaho. So if you're in the area throughout California, I would love to connect in person and meet you. So let me know if you'll be around and we can go for a ride or go eat some plants together. Today, I am super grateful for just all of the amazing conversations, such as this one that I've had the opportunity to have as a result of starting Thought for Food. Such good vibes. All right, enough from me. Let's hear from the vegan cyclist, Tyler Pierce. Thanks for being here, man. Thanks for joining in Thought for Food. Really appreciate it. You were one of the original people I was hoping to get on the show way back when we started, and just sort of life got in the way. And I'm really glad you reached out and connected. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Jackson, for having me, man. I know that I did. We were talking about. What was his name? The vegan guy that his whole family was vegan.
Oh, yeah, Ian Moore.
Right, Ian. And so I was talking with his dad on that ride, and he had mentioned you, and I think like 2 other people mentioned you on that ride. And I was like, I know that guy. So anyway, they were all saying good things, and so yeah, man, I'm glad to connect. I know that I want to say in the very beginning of my YouTube channel, you were commenting, right? We were kind of
Oh,
chatting.
that's totally right, man. I totally forgot about that. Like that was, yeah. That was like when I first started like being vegan and living on a plant-based lifestyle, and I was still racing, and I sort of made like sort of an attempt at a YouTube channel, but I didn't really make any videos. And then I just was sort of looking at other vegan cyclists, and I found you, and that was like in the early days of your channel as well, right? That was way back in the day.
Yeah, early days for sure. I think I was like 2,000 subs or something. I want to say, and then you'd kind of ask some pointers, and then you started to vlog there for a minute. You know, I know you were putting up some videos, but anyway, so that's cool, man. So what? I mean, tell me about this podcast. Like, how did you get started with this?
Yeah, so I mean, the podcast is sort of the evolution of my interest and passion for living a healthy plant-based lifestyle that incorporates a lot of the exercise and the nutrition and the medicine, and as well as the ethics and the compassion and the environmental stuff. And so we like to talk to guests and stuff. And I mean, I think we should start with maybe a little bit of your background and sort of how you got into cycling in the first place. I know we don't want to fully talk only about cycling. Obviously, this is not a cycling podcast, but I think that's a great place to start, and sort of how that's morphed over time to bring you to where you are today, because it's an important factor in sort of where you are.
Yeah. It's super crazy how, there are things in life, right, that you just for sure say, I don't want to do that. I hate that thing. I'll never be that person. Right. And there's a point in high school where, it's just, okay, I'm going to be a traveling entrepreneur. I'm going to be single. I'm never going to marry. I'm not going to have kids. You'd see cyclists on the road, and it would just be mind boggling. Like, I would think, why are you so stupid that you have to wear tight pants? Right. And, I hear people that were vegan, and I just couldn't wrap my brain around any of that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So it's so weird how you have these preconceived notions where I never rode bicycles in that fashion. I rode some BMX and motocross when I was young, but I just didn't get it. Right. And then so I raced BMX when I was young. My grandma got me into motorcycles and motocross. We raced motorcycles, raced BMX, started racing motorcycles, like dirt bikes and stuff again. Maybe like just after high school. And then I started a motorcycle business, and I was really like heavy into that. And when that business failed, I kind of started going to jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and training that, and just fell 100% into jiu-jitsu. I mean, I was competing at Worlds, and I started teaching kids, and I mean, it completely consumed my life. I mean, I was full jiu-jitsu. Then I wanted to cross train, right? So I was thinking, well, how do I get better at jiu-jitsu? How do I increase my fitness for jiu-jitsu? And so then my grandpa, I was just visiting him, and my grandpa's so into the tour, right? He's just this like hard, gruff man, just like the stereotypical grandpa, right?
Yeah.
And
loves bike racing.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, knows nothing about it, but he thinks he does. I don't know. It's funny. And so he was just telling me about the Tour de France and all that sort of stuff. And then he had this bike that he used to ride, but it was a hybrid, right? Maybe a $300 bike, sort of road mountain bike, like, gravel, just anyway, low level bike. And he gives it to me. And so it was so funny because it's a busted bike, right? And it has these weird handlebars. So they're like straight bars, but then the ends curve up. Anyway. Yeah. And so I get on it, and I ride a mile. Like, the first ride was 1 mile, and I get back home, and I tell my wife, I'm just like, babe, you're never going to guess I rode a mile. And she's like, what, a mile? You're crazy, And so it was just so funny because, that was like such a huge, huge stepping stone. And then so I kind of liked it. And then I wanted to go on bigger rides. I wanted to go on an actual road because the mile that I rode was just on like a bike path.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go to the local bike shop and I was like, do I really need a helmet? And they're like, yeah, you really need a helmet. I was like, are you sure? And so then I get this, $30 specialized like mountain bike helmet. I don't know, dude. And then just crazy, I started riding more than I was going to jiu-jitsu. And so then I was thinking, well, I would rather ride longer than go roll on the mat. And then I got myself like a legit road bike, a Jameis Venture, and it was maybe it was like $700, right? And so, dude, if you've never rode bicycles before, the price point of bikes is mind blowing.
Oh, it's absurd. It's
absurd. So you go into the bike shop and you're like, I've got $700. I could probably buy a spaceship.
Yeah.
And then, they're like, oh, $700 will get you a used, wheel.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyway, I get this Jameis bike and, I start riding with these older gentlemen who really kind of took me in. And then, dude, within 1 month of getting that bike, I did 2 centuries. I did my first race. One of my first centuries, it was so funny is it was, I don't know, like 3 weeks into having a bike, and I ate these little caffeine tablets, but I didn't know really that there was a lot of caffeine in them. And there was maybe 150 milligrams of caffeine per tablet. And I ate the whole thing. So it was like 1,000 milligrams of caffeine. And just was drilling this ride. Like I took it as a race, right?
Yeah.
Super casual, like rest stops and all that stuff. And I didn't care. I just pinned it. And I think I did 100 miles in under 5 hours, like total ride time. And that was within the first month of riding. But anyway, and then I don't know, dude, I just fell in love with it. And the thing is, what's so cool about cycling is that you don't need anyone else to do it with.
Right.
I can go out my door and enjoy that sport. So motocross, street bike racing, BMX, jiu-jitsu, basketball, football, whatever. Like there's so many things that are very hard to do on your own. You usually have to go to a place that is, either open or not open or whatever, or need other people to do that thing with. And they just fell in love with it. So I think
part of the amazing thing about cycling is the community aspect and that sort of culture within it. But we can get into that as well. So just keep going.
Yeah. So I just, I think I've been riding for 5 years, right? So I started in 2010. I started in 2010 in August, but then my son was born in November. So I got really into it for a second, and then was, had to be a family man for a little bit, which was it's crazy. But then so, got into it pretty hardcore right after that.
Sweet. And so like to you, what's sort of the allure of cycling for you? Like why were you drawn to it, and why are you still drawn to it and so passionate about it the current day?
Man, there's so many things about it, but I would say that as just a base human, there is this allure or draw to exploration.
Yeah.
I mean, we all want to explore our world, and so the ability to explore the world under your own power, right? So you can get in a car and you can drive, but it's just not the same. And so there's this extra reward you get when you are riding through the hills and you get to see this awesome view. And you're breathing in the air and you're hearing the tires on the road and like the wind's in your face and your body's telling you to stop, right? Your body's going, hey bro, like don't do this. Like that's enough. That's enough miles, turn around, go home. And you push through that. And then you get rewarded with this awesome scenery or whatever. And so, yeah, man, I think exploration is probably at the base what I enjoy the most.
And so did you find that quickly when you first started? Like, were you immediately drawn to that exploration component, or was it more like, oh, this is, or did you find that later, I guess?
Well, I'm a racer.
Yeah.
Like I want to compete. And so I think that, right off the bat, I just wanted to smash,
Yeah.
I wanted to go really hard. And so, I think that especially getting deeper into training and power and structure, the thing that I fall back on and then realize why I love it so much is just that ability to throw your leg over the bike and then just go kind of cruising down the road. I mean, some of I've literally been so happy on the bike that I feel like I'm high, right? Yeah. I mean, I feel, and I've even told, we were riding in the video that I did where it was enjoy the ride and we went and rode in the Sierra National Forest. I kept saying it to my friends, to the guys. I was like, I feel really weird right now because I'm so happy. I'm so content. Like I'm bubbling up with joy for this. And I don't know, man. So like that's obviously one aspect of it. And the other aspect is being fit and seeing progression and racing. And, there's a lot of other stuff. But again, I just think, man, just getting on your bike and then setting out without like a plan or a goal, or I don't know, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally true. And I mean, that's sort of something that I'm interested in because, one of the big reasons why I stopped racing is that I lost that love of the original reason why I sort of got into it was because it's so freeing to be on a bike. It's so, exploratory and it really, shows you the world in such a different way. And I just got so obsessed with the racing and the numbers and the weight and the performance and the numbers on the result sheet that I stopped loving the sport for what it was. And I just what I needed to do to get back to that was to take a step back and take a step away from the racing. So how do you sort of avoid that, or have you faced that at all?
Oh, first, I mean, every year, right? So my coach kind of structures that in, and for the most part, it's from August, like the end of August to maybe November. It's just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Ride, don't ride. I mean, it's nice to ride so that you don't completely lose all your fitness. But for the most part, this year, I burnt out quick. I was looking at it and I think I raced, 20 times, which isn't a lot of times in comparison, but I raced those 20 times almost like every week consecutively. I did 2 stage races back to back. So I did a stage race one weekend and then I did another stage race the second weekend. So that was 8 races in 2 weeks. Yeah, right. I mean, that's just
it's a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, you're banging your heart off the rev limiter. And then I was getting ready for Cascade, a really big stage race. And I got food poisoning from Chipotle, assholes. and so I got really sick. I mean, honestly, I thought I was going to die. I mean, I'd never felt so horrible. And so then that just ruined my fitness. And then I kind of just never really got really back into it. And my power meter died and I didn't care. I just rode for the fun of it. And, but now going into this off season, I'm super motivated to bike and to train and so yeah, every year I got to say take 3 months off for sure, where you just ride because you want to ride. And I'm getting a mountain bike, and I think that's going to really help a lot going in 2017, where I can do mountain bike races, or I can change it up to where my fitness is still being stressed in that same kind of dimension. But dude, I mean, I don't know if you mountain bike, but that's awesome. Mountain biking is so much fun.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I don't mountain bike very much, but I want to get into it because it's another way to mix it up in a way that still works those same muscle groups, the same energy systems, but it like changes, mentally. It helps you mentally shift away from being so tunnel vision towards road, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And then the scenery that you get on a mountain bike, it's bonkers.
Yeah.
But uh, Kevin Watt, just real quick, he says talk about recovery and not burning out. And I mean, it's just so we're still on that kind of thread, right? Which is, not burning out is where you structure in the time to have fun. And but honestly, the training, when you have like structured training, if you structure it right, you shouldn't burn out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know what your structure was when you were racing, or what, if you had a coach, or how it was set up. But if you're using proper data, if you're using power and you're using heart rate, the training should feel easier. I don't know if this is how it happened with you, but when I was riding with no data, no heart rate, no power, every ride I felt like my eyes were bleeding. And then once I got heart rate, it's like, oh man, I don't have to be at 195 beats per minute the entire ride, right? You stay within these zones, and then your recovery is actually way better because you're not pushing it into these crazy overtraining type things.
Yeah. So for me, what happened was it was less about the actual training and more about sort of the mindset around it. I mean, I was had a coach, fully, dialed in with power, and I was, took the semester off of school. I was living in Arizona, and basically, I just I put too much pressure on myself. And I wasn't really listening to my body, listening to the coach, and, I lost a bunch of weight, and that's sort of what stimulated me to, think about diet more as an important piece and an important component of the lifestyle, and as a cyclist. And, so I think definitely like recovery, there's so much to it, but at the same time, you have to be willing to also, besides the data, but you have to also be able to listen to your own body and kind of get back to that awareness, self-awareness, where it's not necessarily just about numbers, and being realistic about how you actually feel, your brain and your sex drive and all these things that get affected by really high levels of training. And, is that healthy or not? And so, that's a whole nother conversation to get into. But I sort of want to shift gears a little bit into, nutrition, and, when did you start looking at diet? I'm assuming that sort of came after cycling, as it does for most, or was that something that you were into before you became a cyclist?
No, dude. And, I think one of the first videos I ever did was kind of my vegan transformation story. And dude, I came from a family where nutrition was food was not health at all. Health was exercise, but food played no part in health.
Yeah. Right.
And so, we were eating fried pork chops and garlic bread every night. I mean, that was it was, there was a meal that I would have, which was cheese on chips, which I would get like cheese Doritos, and then just melt sharp cheddar cheese.
No fucking way, man.
Dude. It was that's just my go-to meal, right? It was just, oh my goodness. And so when I was doing jiu-jitsu, when I started to get more fit and was thinking about my body, I remember having a conversation with my wife and telling her, look, it's just all about calories in, calories out. There's really, I can eat McDonald's all day long, and as long as I'm exercising, I'll be healthy. And that was just my mentality.
Yeah.
But then when my wife got pregnant, and we had chose to have a kid, right? Which makes I'm not saying anything bad about someone the kid was maybe a surprise or whatever, but when you decide to have a kid, it does change the way you look at that whole process a little bit. And so we decided to have a kid, and then we were thinking, man, we are going to make this kid out of food. Legitimately, you're going to consume and break apart food and construct a human, right? So let's maybe not construct this human out of McDonald's.
Right.
And so that kind of kicked this little bit of thought of what we were eating. And I was going from eating fast food three times a day, literally breakfast, lunch, and dinner was fast food, to then, you know, being more health conscious. So grass-fed beef, farm-raised eggs, organic milk. We started cooking our own food a lot more, which changes the way you perceive it a bunch. And so then that started the ball of health, I think, when I was 24, 25, maybe even more than that. Yeah, around that. 25 years old is when I think I had my first salad.
Shit.
Like legitimately. My first salad was at 25 years old. But I mean, a lot of people never have a salad, so I guess it's fine to start somewhere. So then while my wife was pregnant, we started watching some documentaries, and we watched Food Inc. And you just kind of start to like, you know, you watch a documentary, and it plants a seed. I don't know, man. And that kind of started to morph. And so then my son, I think he got about 3 years old, and we moved up into the mountains. We got chickens. I've kind of told this story a bunch of times, but we got chickens to have our own farm raised chickens. We wanted to be self-sufficient off the land. And so, you know, my wife, this was before going vegan. So don't hammer me on this, but, my wife got a bow and arrow, and she would hunt squirrels, dude. And she was like,
oh, damn.
She was like Katniss Everdeen, bro. She would hit a squirrel like at like 60 yards with this bow and arrow.
That's so crazy.
And, dude, yeah, it's crazy. She's good. She's good with the archery. But so we got these chickens, and we had probably at this point phased out of red meat. Really no pork. We would do turkey instead of chicken. We did a lot of fish. So for the most part, we would eat meat once a day. And it would be chicken or turkey or fish. That's pretty much where we were. And it was weird to see the transformation of the plate, right? So the steak takes up 85% of the plate, and then you have potatoes with cheese. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the steak is a little bit less, and there's like some asparagus. And then this steak becomes turkey, and then the mashed potatoes don't cheese, right? You just kind of start, right? There's like slow progression. And then I watched, anyway, we get the chickens, little baby chick in my hand, and the video of where they're like sexing the chicks and then throwing the males in the grinder. Mm-hmm. Like, I think a lot of people have seen that one. And dude, I don't like that stuff. I don't want to watch that stuff, but it just, thinking of that video and then holding this baby chick in my hand, dude, it was hard. And it was like, man, I'm like having to face this awkward conversation with myself now of that I legitimately think I'm a great guy. Like, I would not say I'm evil, but then you sort of look at this whole industry that you're being a part of, and it's like, man, I don't think I can do that anymore. And it just was a light switch, right? So then we just went vegan, and to honestly, everything you do to make yourself more healthy, when you see positive results, it's a positive feedback loop. So you do something, you get results, you like that, you want more, you keep doing more.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Totally. And so, I mean, you're pretty passionate about, you know, being a vegan cyclist. Obviously, that's like your whole kind of brand, but without being preachy on the vegan side. And that is totally like aligned with what we're trying to do. And I mean, so have you, like, what changed for you after going vegan and now morphing into this? Like, have you found it to be more successful in helping other cyclists shift towards a healthier lifestyle this way? Or like, what impacts have you noticed through social media, through your friends and family or the cycling community in kind of making this transition?
Oh, dude. So 100%. It's so cool to see people change their lives based on maybe what I'm doing. Right. And when you're super preachy about it, people instantly put up this guard. And so, obviously, the fact that my channel's name is The Vegan Cyclist, I'm already kind of like being preachy about that right off the bat. But when you're not really talking about it and someone sees you happy and healthy and fit and performing well, they're going to ask, well, what are you doing that I'm maybe not doing? And so I've had friends where they'll talk so much shit. You know, they're just like, you're going to die. You're malnutrition. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
I could never do this because bacon. And then, but then
Classic.
what's weird is they'll kind of come to you in this like secret roundabout way and say, hey man, I ate a salad today. Are you proud of me?
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like, well, I don't know. Why are you trying to get affirmation from me? Why do you care why do you care if I know you ate a salad? Like, I'm super proud of you. That's awesome. That's great. But that's weird that you talked smack on it and now you kind of want me to notice that you're being healthy. And so that's really neat to see people just kind of start to think about their own diet. And my wife told me this quote, and it's Mark Twain, right? And it's whenever you find yourself in the majority, it's time to rethink your position. And that's just so, man, that's so, I think, true. Like if you are like, well, I do this because everyone does it. Why?
Yeah,
Why is everyone
buck the
doing that?
status quo. I mean, it's like you can't, if you want to, you can't. Yeah, you don't want to conform necessarily, and you have to question a lot of things. I think a lot of people go through life without ever questioning anything. They just are like, oh, this is the way we've done it. This is the way my family's done it for hundreds of years. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing, and I don't think that's a great way to go.
Well, no, and so again, this is something I really like, and I say this all the time, but it is, when you introduce new information, only one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to change your standpoint or you're going to strengthen your standpoint. And either one of those things is awesome. So if you think veganism is bad, eating plants is stupid, try it. And if you legitimately don't feel better and it was a horrible thing for your life, fantastic. You have now strengthened your position on that. And now you can say with confidence, you know what? Didn't work for me. I tried it. I hate it. Stupid. Okay, great. Or you might try it and go, you know what? Maybe there is something to this. And again, and dude, you don't have to be 100%. You don't have to be, and honestly, I think you and I chatted on the phone. You don't even have to label yourself as a vegan.
Totally.
Like that label sometimes is what I think people steer away from so much. And dude, just be healthy. That's
Exactly.
it. Hey,
Exactly.
just eat healthy. You'll be fine. But the kind of non-disputable fact of it is the less meat that you eat usually is going to correlate with a healthier lifestyle. I mean, there's definitely some, I do honestly feel like there are times where eating meat is going to be an okay way to go in the society aspect, right? Okay, if you live up north and it's freezing and your crops die and you have no food, I mean, are you gonna just die or like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's like a fraction of a percent of the population, right? So it's like, I think people like to use that excuse or that sort of example a lot to justify their actions if they live near any sort of grocery store or any sort of in any sort of metropolitan city or town. I don't think that's a great way to justify it. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's like just eating more plants and reducing your animal products. Like, I don't care if you're 100% vegan or not. It's what it's all about is at least being aware of where your food comes from and what it means to be healthy and do your best every day. Make good choices and live a healthy lifestyle overall. It's not just about the diet either.
No, for sure. I think your health is measured by many things. Your fitness, your activity level, your diet, your mental side is also a huge part of that. And so when I tried to go real raw for a little while, I tried, cutting out oils and salt. I tried to go hard because I got to this point where everything I was doing kept showing me positive results.
Yeah.
And to a certain point, you start to like fall off that end of the spectrum where now you're too aggressive. And I just didn't, man, I got really light. I think I got down to 150 pounds at 6'1" or 6'2". I don't know, man. It was a little too light. And so I kind of abandoned that. And I just honestly, I eat whatever I want. Obviously that's plants, right? Whatever's vegan, but I eat whatever I want. I eat whenever I want. I eat as much as I want.
And what's so cool about the plant-based diet is it's so low in caloric value that I can just shovel food into my face and really never have to worry about weight all that much, right? I don't train that much, right? I train 6 to 10 hours a week. I'm super sedentary. I'm always in my office, just in like a reclined mode. So if my body can fixate itself at about 160 pounds with a mild amount of exercise and a pretty loose restriction on diet in the way of just, obviously I just eat whatever's vegan. I don't know, man. A lot of people could change their life. They could lose weight. They could become something they've always thought that maybe they couldn't, just by introducing, more whole foods and plants. And honestly, just watch some documentaries and be open-minded about it. Tailor it to what you think you want and what works best for you. And dude, you'll be off to the races.
100%. How do you sort of like handle the confusion and skepticism and sort of the weirdness factor that some people have, like particularly for me, at least in the cycling community, around, your diet choice and this choice to go vegan? Because I mean, even for me here in Boulder, which is a very health conscious town, there's not a lot of vegan cyclists, and a lot of my friends and old teammates think it's really weird and they don't understand how I do it. So how do you sort of navigate that?
I don't know, man. Like, are you kind of saying like, how do you deal with the hate maybe? Or like,
well, I think less about the hate. I just feel like, a lot of people that are either new to a plant-based lifestyle or new to cycling or new to sports and they're already vegan struggle with that sort of the social aspect, and they struggle with explaining to people what they're doing and why, and sort of being confident in their description of what it means to be a vegan or a plant-based athlete.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that in the beginning, I really wanted to tell everybody or feel like that I had to label myself. And so I think that kind of brought on the wrong response. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So when I go into a group of people and for whatever reason, it's like, hi, my name's Tyler. I'm a vegan. Like,
yeah.
Wow, shit. Why did I say that? I don't need to say that. And then that just sort of brings on a defensive attitude, right? So people will, I remember one of the first conversations I had with like as I came out, right? It's funny because you come out as a vegan.
Yeah.
What? That's crazy. Oh no. What's wrong? And I came out as a vegan to, this big group of people, and man, it just didn't end well. People felt very attacked. And so I've just gone as far away from that as I possibly can. When people talk about it, sometimes I try to make jokes and just say, oh, I'm working on my level 7 vegan badge, or I don't know, just kind of play it down in a way of when people ask me what I eat, I'll just say like air and rocks.
Yeah.
That's what I eat for dinner, because they're not necessarily really asking. And so, but if someone is legitimately wanting to know, then we can have that conversation. But for the most part, I think the impression I get is when someone is like, oh, what do you eat? And then you haven't even started to say, oh, well, I eat, oh, a salad is stupid and you're going to die.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I didn't even, but so, I just try to steer clear of that. But honestly, I feel so comfortable in my decision. I don't think about it ever. It's just how it is. Life is status quo as a plant-based athlete. And I think that now it's sort of this zeitgeisty thing that people just are accepting it now. It's very hard to come with the argument of lack of protein or that you can't be an elite athlete or that you can't be healthy. I just think that's gone. And so people, I don't know, man. I I think more people are starting to accept it than ever before. I do though live in the mountains, and so it is not a very vegan friendly place.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a little hard to I don't know. Like there are places we went to Vegas last week, and they're Veggie Nation. She's like, oh my goodness, it's like an amazing vegan restaurant, right? And there's a lot of vegan options everywhere, and that's sort of kind of that community is opened up to that. But where I live, that's not the case. So a lot of it is just buying like fresh fruits and vegetables, and then you just cook at home. And so I'm not really ever having to deal with that. I don't expect people to carry vegan options. I don't go into a restaurant and say, what's your vegan options? I just assume that's probably not going to be the case. But even with saying that, at my local restaurant, there is just this guy, Paul, and he's the chef there. And every bit of their food is like fried food, burgers and steaks and lasagna. But then when I go there, he makes me special vegan dishes every time. And it's just so amazing. They are legitimately amazing. He makes the most amazing tacos. And he is so pumped when he does it that he will personally come up from the kitchen and deliver me the vegan meal. And he's like, how do you like it?
Yeah, because it's exciting and different than what he's used to.
Yeah. And it's, again, he's not vegan by any means, but he is so pumped to do something different and, explore that. So, yeah, man, that's really cool. I mean, I think people are opening up to it as long as you don't get all Durenreiter on them and
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's how we roll too. So let's look a little bit more into actual diet. I think people probably would like to hear that. I mean, I know, it's sort of people like you and I are sort of outliers in terms of the general population, obviously just based on, being athletes first of all, and then, endurance athletes that are training a lot. So like, what does a typical day of eating look like for you, during sort of an average day of training?
Yeah, dude. And it really isn't a typical day. We try to change up our food based on the seasons because we buy so much produce. And so, it changes, man. Right now in the winter, I can't do berries. I love berries, but dude, they're $8 for a blueberry.
Yeah.
So, it's not, right now, what I'm really into is I guess I've always been into potatoes, but
yeah.
So, so for the last week or so, kind of the thing has been, potatoes, like hash browns and avocado in the morning with just a mega smoothie, like a ridiculous smoothie. So I get frozen fruit, mangoes and raspberries and that sort of stuff, like as frozen because it's not as expensive. I'll throw in some fresh bananas because bananas are always the same price.
Yeah.
I'll do chia seeds. I usually do a beet as well. I'll throw a beet into the juice, and then what I'll do is I'll have the naked juice.
Yeah.
It's like a big, it's just, I don't know. I don't think it's that great of juice health wise, but it tastes delicious. And so then I'll use that kind of as water. So whatever I put in my smoothie, I can do broccoli and spinach and beets. And then that naked juice just kind of masks the taste. So it just tastes like naked juice, but it's just packed with, raw veggies and fruit. So that humongous smoothie, my potatoes, and then coffee. I smash coffee.
Hell yeah.
All day. I have a French press, and we live right next to Mariposa Coffee, which is the best coffee in the world. So then maybe around lunchtime, I will do nuts. So I've been eating pistachios during lunch, or what else? Like rice cakes with peanut butter. But if I'm training hard, right? So if I do like a 13 or 14 hour week, which is not that much, or if my intensity is super high, if I'm doing intervals, then I might have a more hearty lunch. Or I kind of see, it always depends. So I usually like to go out and ride on a more empty stomach. I don't necessarily like to be stuffed and then go do intervals. So, but I'll do rice. We have a rice cooker. Quinoa, we'll do that in the rice cooker as well with teriyaki sauce and steamed broccoli. For dinner, dude, my wife has been banging out the dinners, and she did these tacos sort of like a chimichanga, right? So she made like homemade tortillas and then bathed them in coconut oil. And so what was in it? It was beans, it was like black beans and onions and tomatoes. Anyway, oh my goodness, dude. It was like one of those meals where I'm so mad that it's about to be over. You know?
Yeah.
And
I'm like, no, I need more.
Yeah, and I'm looking at my wife's plate and I'm looking at my son's plate, like gauging, are they going to finish all of their, they're going to finish their food? Because I want it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so every night for dinner, it's broccoli, onions, potatoes, like roasted potatoes in some sort of fashion. So, we've been doing a little bit more meatless meat.
Yeah.
Which I don't really, when you look at the ingredients, there's too many ingredients for me necessarily, but, I don't know. We did these, she did what'd she do? Meatball sandwiches.
Oh, nice. So
she made her own meatballs, vegan meatballs. However she did that. I don't know, she's a wizard in the kitchen, but it was, and then some Daya cheese, with tomato sauce. And I mean, it was, dude, just like a meatball sandwich. It was phenomenal. And obviously I don't eat that a ton. For the most part, it's all whole foods, for dinner and stuff like that. But sometimes, dude, that stuff's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, obviously everyone's so different and it's different day to day. And I think, it's great to know some sort of specific foods, but at the same time, it's also really important to zoom out. Like, do you struggle at all with getting enough calories? I mean, that's something I've struggled with. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of athletes who try going vegan sort of fall off the wagon, so to speak, because they simply don't know how to fuel themselves, properly for the amount of like activity they're doing. They sort of underestimate it. So how do you like fuel, during big racing and training blocks? Are you like smashing in a lot of higher fat, higher calorie foods? Are you doing some oil? Are you just slamming smoothies all day? Like what are some of your best, I guess, tips for athletes that are, trying to take their training or racing to the next level, but want to maintain, energy balance?
I would say you can't just be fruit, right?
Or a super low fat,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a lot of people go towards this all fruit diet, almost like fruitarian. Like when you think vegan, you just assume it's fruit.
Yeah.
And that's not necessary. I mean, that's not true at all. And so, my sister, she tries to go vegan from time to time, and she's actually done really well since the last time we went and visited her. But she eats grapes, and then she's like, "I'm so hungry." Well, it's like, yeah, eat something else. You don't have to just eat grapes. Like, I love grapes. I'll smash a bag of grapes, but you kind of. So the way that I think about it is, when someone thinks they're going to go vegan, their plate goes from a steak, a salad, and potatoes to a salad.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you can't do that. You cannot, there's not enough calories. There's not enough there. And so, but you also kind of have to get used to, dude, shoveling food into your face, eating constantly. But so for me, the avocado in the morning, it sort of gives me, what is that? The higher glycemic index, right? Like, or it's like sustainable energy throughout the day. I never feel like I'm bonking, as of where if I don't eat any fat, no coconut oil, no avocado, no nothing like that, man, I feel good, but the energy is so quickly burned.
Right. And I think, for people, they sort of just assume that, well, and especially like in the cycling world and in the endurance world, it's like there's this sort of rampant fear of calories just in general. And like that eating too much, eating's cheating, like it's too much food means you're going to gain a lot of weight. And so when you switch from a standard diet where you sort of sometimes do have to restrict in a lot of ways if you're eating super crappy food, And then you come over to this way, and it's like, you know, so you sort of might have some of those same habits. You just fall into a caloric deficit in a lot of ways.
For sure. And I think that I did that. I learned my lesson from that when I was trying to get really light.
Yeah.
And dude, it's just, okay, so your watt per kilo ratio matters if you're Chris Froome.
Yeah.
But how many 21 stage races are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you don't even race. If you're just like an average dude, you having a 1% body fat and having a 7 watt kilo ratio, it's not healthy.
Well, and especially in the US, where the majority of the races are crits or like 3-day stage races that are pretty like punchy. You know, you don't need to have a 6 watt per kilo for 30-minute sort of deal, you know? And so I think it's so easy, I think, to fall into that trap of like, oh my God, I have to be so lean that, you know, I have the same sort of body fat as Chris Froome. It's just not the way it works. You know, if you want to be a functional racer in the US, you have to be able to put down the power for your 5-minute power, I think, is a lot more important for doing well in stage races or just in races in general in the US than 20-minute power. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I know for sure. And I would say that, so an important thing that I did in the very beginning was count my calories. And so to gauge actually how many calories I was eating, to know what I'm eating, right? So when you eat a banana, how many calories is a banana, right? Not a lot of people would know that. How many calories is a plate of spinach, right? So to kind of actually understand the data. And then what I just got this Zoom HVR, like HRV thing. It's like a wristband, right? I'm not wearing it actually right now. But so what it does, it tracks your heart rate and then kind of tells you how many calories you've burnt in the day. And man, that's kind of a good way to do it if you don't have any information, right? If you think counting calories is the way to go, track your calories, see how much you're burning. And on a plant-based diet, or at least a primarily plant-based diet, you'll see that, dude, it's harder to get those calories than it is to not overeat.
Yeah.
And I know that everyone says calories in, calories out, and that science says it's all the same, but I just don't. My experience with that is not the same, right? It doesn't seem to correlate with that. So if I eat, when I was eating, fast food and stuff, even if I ate, say, 1,500 calories of fast food, man, I just felt like it stayed on me for so much longer than now with a plant-based diet. And Sean Remy, dude, that guy's a testament. That guy will eat 6,000 calories in a day and still be super lean. So
right.
if, I don't know, man, I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but for me, plant-based, dude, you can eat, I can stuff my face and I don't really ever see any.
Yeah. I mean,
negative,
same here.
And
I think with that, there's a lot that kind of plays into that, but, I think a big thing with it is just the sort of caloric density of plant foods is super, super, low compared to foods like bacon and steak and refined oils and processed food, where, you might be eating the same amount of calories, but you're not as satisfied and it's all pretty empty calories. So your body's like, oh shit, I need to store this because I'm not actually getting the nutrients I need. And so I think with that, like when you're eating a plant-based diet, you're eating just so much fiber, so much water. And so it's easier to get full. And so you can eat just way more food without being super, super, overeating calories, I guess,
Yeah. And so just on the Facebook Live, this guy Kevin says fruit and veggies just burn through me. And dude, that's if that's all you're eating, 100%, they do burn super fast. And that's where incorporating potatoes for me helps out a lot. Beans and rice obviously do wonders. But dude, I eat so many potatoes, and I know that there's kind of a divide in the vegan community of like no oil, like no fat, just go all sugar and no fat. And I don't know, man, that might work from some people, but for me, my broccoli and some coconut oil tastes amazing.
Yeah.
And so I would much rather absolutely look forward to my dinner because it has some oil in it than and dude, the thing is when you're not eating animal products, there's like your body's not really getting any fat. And so you have, I think, a much bigger window to introduce fats into your system, healthy fats, obviously, but coconut oil, olive oil, in moderation, and then avocados, nuts. I mean, nuts are high in fat, but dude, it helps me feel sustainable for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, it helps you absorb a lot of the more fat soluble vitamins. And it's definitely essential for athletes to, keep the inflammation down. And I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So I sort of want to like kind of shift away a little bit from the nutrition for now. And sort of look a little bit at sort of balance. I mean, I know you have a son, like you said, you're working, you're racing at a high level, and you're also, creating a lot of content. You're building a brand, you're making regular videos and all these things. And, a kind of a big buzzword in today's world is balance. And while I think that, balance is important, I also think that sort of the times that we grow a lot as humans and have really incredible, profound experiences and learn is when we're out of balance, And so how do you, what are your thoughts on that? Like you have a ton of stuff going on. So how do you what's your philosophy on balance?
Well, I did a video, I think, a little bit on balance and what I think is no balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just pin it. And I think in general, throughout your whole year, you should have balance when you look back on things like a program, right? Like a training program. If you go all the way out to the macro scale, right? That's like big.
Yeah.
You would say I had 3 periodizations. I had my recovery or my build block. I had my race block, and then I had my off season or whatever, right? That kind of looks balanced. But when you get deeper in and when you start really peeling back the layers of the onion, you sort of see that maybe it's kind of not as balanced. You have really big weeks, you have really small weeks. And so for me, man, I mean, I try to balance it as much as I can. So like a good example would be in November, dude, I crushed the videos. I think I hit multiple 3 or 4 videos a day back to back to back, right? And that was just because my work schedule was kind of on a lull. My son was at school, the weather was good. There was just a lot of things that allowed me to invest my time into that. But now that my day job is kind of sort of picked up a bit, I have to kind of pull away from that a little bit. And so I got to focus on work. And if you focus on everything equally, everything suffers.
Yep.
So my balance is, dude, if I can do it, then let's go full hog and do it. But, man, so that balance is hard and everyone's life is different. You kind of have to gauge what you will accept as what you will accept as success, and some people get really kind of copacetic with their life and they just are on cruise control. And to me, man, like patterns and routine, those are fantastic for the autopilot modes.
Yeah.
Just put it on autopilot. Let me make my potato, make my smoothie, do my work, go for a ride, come home. Those are cool, but you don't get necessarily a whole lot of things done in those autopilots that you are super proud of, right? You starting this podcast, that didn't come out of routine. You
Right.
had to change something up. You had to completely get kind of your life out of balance to create this thing.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's not like, you don't grow as just sort of like, I agree. I think routines and stuff are great, but you don't grow unless you step outside of your comfort zone. And, yes. I mean, becoming a bike racer, that's stepping outside of your comfort zone. Crashing at, 45 miles an hour, is scary and it's out of your comfort zone, but you learn about, okay, maybe I shouldn't have, overlapped wheels in this corner. But I think what the key is understanding when to shut it down and when to turn up the heat, I guess.
Yeah, man. And so that's just going to come from experience.
Yeah.
But for me, I try to turn the heat up on the things that I do as much as I can. And, when I can, knowing that I will, when I pull back from it, when I put it on the back burner, that it's not going to stay there. I'll come back to it, but when I do, I just, like I said, just go hard. Troy, said something on the Facebook, and this guy, Troy, you should check him out. The bearded vegan. Dude, he goes like on all these explorations, like does all these like crazy mountain peak hikes. He has a very robust beard, and dude, it's pretty crazy. I mean, because he is going places that have no Chipotle, right? He's not going anywhere. Like he has to take all that food with him. It's kind of nuts. But he had said, what are your thoughts on supplements? And my wife is a supplement fiend. I mean, she has a cabinet that just has cordyceps and all these like B12 and all these weird things, right? Cacao powder and all this crazy stuff. I just do B12. That's it. I don't really do a whole lot of other stuff. I do have a little powder from Cranked Naturals that's like a beet, some kind of beet powder. But yeah, I don't really feel a difference. I don't know if you do or not. But when I take B12 or I don't take B12, I don't know, man. It's hard to tell the difference. So, I mean, I feel like I need it. But my wife, she's had several blood tests done, and she's always fine. Like her blood she's never deficient in anything. And so, I don't know. What do you do with supplements? Do you do B12?
Yeah, definitely do B12. B12 is pretty much non-negotiable for vegans, just because it's not something that you want to mess around with, and since it's a water soluble vitamin, even if you get too much, you just piss out the rest. But so I mean, even if you're fine in the levels, you should still take it. Even if you're and of course if you're deficient, you should definitely take it. But irregardless, like you might as well just take it. It's really cheap. I also take vitamin D, algae based, and I also take an omega-3 algae based. So yeah, I mean, I think the B12 is kind of the main one, and if you want to sort of tweak around, then sort of look into some other stuff. But yeah, I mean,
have you ever done a B12 shot?
No, but I've thought about it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Dude, I don't like needles, man.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need it. It's like you just do the pills.
Well, I asked my doctor about it, and if you're going to tell me you can do one shot every 2 weeks or a month or something long, but it wasn't. It was, you're going to do it every day for 5 days, and then it's, twice a week after that. Like, forget that, dude. I'll eat the pill. Like, don't stab me, Yeah. And so I don't know what that was all about, but anyway,
I kind of want to jump into parenting, because I know you talked about your son and you're sort of raising him vegan, but allowing him to make his own choices. What would you sort of recommend, or your sort of one best piece of advice for busy parents that also want to follow their own goals and be athletic, trying to raise their kids on a plant-based diet?
I don't know, dude. So it's tricky. It's not easy. If you're parenting and you go, this is easy, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's not easy. But that's it with anything in life, man. If you do it right, life is going to be hard, but the result is going to be what you want. So, it's going to pay great dividends when you really invest your time into your kid. It's going to pay off in the long run. But obviously, like, moderation, everything in moderation. I want my kid to be the best he can possibly be. But there are too many stories of burnout and revolting, right? Like just going against, because whatever I say, if I think it's vegan and I push it on him, there might be a certain age where he goes, I don't want to do that. That wasn't my choice. And then he completely goes the opposite route. And I don't want that to be the case. So I really try to, be in moderation. But man, so far it's been good. But it hasn't been easy. It also isn't easy for me to balance my own ambitions.
Yeah.
So when I go ride, that takes up a lot of time. Today he got home from school. It's about 3:00, and it's like, man, I should go out for a ride right now. But I miss him. You know what I mean? I want to hang with him, or I want to take him for a ride, or I want to like invest my time into him. So it kind of goes back into, just your balance, your life balance on I guess really what is important. There was something I saw, it was like a meme, and it said, instead of telling someone you don't have time, tell them it's not priority. And that change in that vocabulary, because how many times would a parent tell a kid, I don't have time for that. I can't right now. You know what? Like, we'll do it later. I don't have time. Well, you have time.
Yeah.
It's just not priority.
Right.
So to change that vocabulary and have my son, when he goes, hey, let's go wrestle on the bed. It's like, well, to tell him that's not priority. It's like, well, shit, I can't tell him that, you know what I mean? That makes me feel like a horrible dad. And so you kind of like changes the way you perceive those things. But honestly, again, it's the feedback. He is an amazing kid. He has accepted the plant-based diet, and I mean, the way he talks about it, like, obviously he's not fully vegan. Like, he eats dairy, he'll eat some cheese and stuff like that. But the amount of stuff that he's eating is such, 90% plants, right? So I don't really stress on it that much. And he's pretty physically active. I mean, he's like but we, there's also this level of kind of trying to push him into some things within reason. So, he didn't ask me to be a part of the track team, but it's like, dude, I think you should be I think you should do track. Like, I think you should run. I think you should have some physical exercise, and it's with those things where you kind of suggest and slightly push or encourage might be the better word, and then you just kind of get your feedback, like talk to your kid and hear what they have to say and have an open dialogue. I've always treated my son as an equal. Yeah. Which some people might not agree with, because they're like, dude, he's your kid. You tell him what to do. But when you treat someone equally, they will treat you back a different way than if someone was to just always talk down to you, or I don't know. So I try to have him make a lot of his own decisions, and dude, sometimes his decisions suck, and it's just like, dude, that was a horrible decision. But Confucius said that if you hear, you forget; if you see, you remember; but if you do, you know. Yeah. Right. And so I can tell him all day long that the stove is hot. He's gonna forget that. I can show him that the stove is super hot and burn my own hand and be in pain. And he might remember that, but until he touches that hot stove, he's not going to know. He's not going to know what it's like. And so that is another thing, is trying to let him kind of explore this life on his own a little bit. Right. I mean, I'm here to guide him, but yeah. Yeah. Dude, but he's only 6. Yeah, true. He's only 6. So I don't know what new hurdles are going to be later on in life, right? I don't know what is going to, when he becomes 12, 13, 14. Dude, to want to talk about something crazy is that he's going to have to navigate relationships with Facebook, right? And social media. Like, when I had my heart broken in high school, it wasn't rubbed in my face all day long that she was with another dude or whatever, right? Like, I cannot imagine how hard it's going to be to navigate relationships with social media. So like, I don't know, man. So far, I'm kicking ass with being a parent.
Yeah,
It's gonna
dude,
be real. Like I'm doing a great job.
it's the
I'm doing a great
beauty.
job, but I don't know how that's gonna. Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna be in the future. So I'm never. I'm always on my guard for sure.
That's the beauty of the process, man. I think that, it's, you got to revel in that process and revel in the uncertainty because it's part of the game. So I also, I think I want to start to kind of wrap things down a little bit, but, at Thought for Food, we sort of have a lot of athletes that follow us that, might be either new to a plant-based diet or new to endurance sports like cycling. And, just in your experience of both of those things, if you could pass on 3 essential pieces of information, like 3 things that you see in new athletes that you wish you didn't see, or like you cringe at, like it's like one thing you're like, oh, why would you do that? Something that you see a cyclist doing or someone that's new to a plant-based lifestyle. What would those 3 things be?
Okay. Well, so let's do one towards plant-based would just be to get educated. 100%. That's going to be your best bet for sustainability. You really need to know why you're doing something, and the more education, the more knowledge you have, man, that's going to be essential to your sustainability. So learn about it and ask yourself, why do I want to do this? And if you can't answer that, and this just kind of goes with life, but if you can't answer, why am I doing this thing? Then you need to do some self-exploration. I think that if anyone asks you why you're doing anything, your answer should be pretty quick. It should not be, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because, well, dude, then you need to think about that, right? Yeah. So definitely on a plant-based diet, get educated, know why you're doing it. A thing to a cyclist would be to learn to love riding a bike first before all other things. And you can really get into trouble now with Chris Froome being so highlighted with his concentration on power and cadence. And you look at these superstars like Peter Sagan, and you want to be like that. So you might dive so heavily into that with training. And dude, if you don't love riding your bike first, I was talking with Phil Guyman when we were riding, when he was up this way. And I was asking him, I was like, dude, I'm not trying to be a dick, but you are not very good on the pro level, right? You're amazing. You are a god compared to everyone else. How do you deal with being so gifted, yet then there's Peter Sagan?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? And he said, I just actually love riding my bike. Yeah. And it's like, man, the amount of love you have to have for your bike to be a absolute phenom, the elite of the elite, and never have a chance at winning.
Yeah.
Right? That must just, dude, he's got to love riding his bike. And so yeah, love riding your bike. And then the third thing would, for, I guess, another cyclist would be, man, set goals. Dude, set goals. I had a dismal 2016 in racing, right? My racing, just was, but I had other goals. I had secondary goals beyond just straight race finishes. And so if you can set a goal that is outside or like more within your control, like racing is kind of sometimes outside of your control. Like I had a goal to hit 350 watts for 20 minutes. I hit that goal, and that honestly made my year, right? So I was like, cool. If all else fails, I locked in that goal. In 2015, my goal was, or maybe 2014, my goal was to finish San Rafael, right? So is the P12 is a really insanely fast race. And my goal wasn't to win. It was just, dude, just finish the race, right? And I don't know, like I did. And so even though the rest of my year still, like I didn't win a ton of races, I didn't win any races, but like having these manageable goals and then building off of that I don't know. I guess the opposite argument would be that when you make goals that are way overreaching, like if I had a goal to win San Rafael, I might have done better, right? But then I don't know, like I don't like being disappointed. So I guess you kind of have to have two sets of goals. Have a goal that's way overreaching, that's maybe most not likely going to happen, but 100% believe in it, and then have these other backup goals just in case if all else fails, that you have some kind of metric of success, so you don't just completely burn out.
Cool. I have a few kind of rapid fire questions that I think would just be kind of cool to ask. What's been the most memorable experience for you on the bike?
Yosemite.
Hell yeah. I think I'm going to come to Yosemite in March. I'll have to hit you up.
Dude, come stay with me, bro. I got my whole downstairs is like a 2-bedroom apartment. Come hang out.
Awesome. We'll talk about that later. What's your favorite ride in the world?
Yosemite was pretty cool, but actually it is McKinley Grove. You go through, and I did a video of it, and dude, it's just this amazing ride that's from 5,000 feet of elevation. So you're at elevation. There's barely any traffic. It's undulating hills, and you go through the biggest trees in the world. It's fantastic. And so, yeah, McKinley Grove, that route is the best.
Damn. And if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Bro, potatoes. You could do anything with potatoes.
Oh,
you
yeah.
could do fries, or you can do like patties, roasted potatoes, mashed potatoes for days.
Love it. What's your favorite Lord of the Rings character?
The dragon that comes up, like, that tries to murk everybody, and he's pretty dope.
All right, man. So final question for our guests on Thought for Food is, we're called Thought for Food. It's just, we're really trying to help people think more about food and think about more how food affects the world around us and ourselves and the well-being of animals and the planet. If you could sum it up, nicely, what would your thought for food be?
That food is life.
Okay. I mean, it could be, you can expand more like that. That's not part of the rapid fire piece.
Okay.
I guess just in terms of what, how do you look at food in the greater scheme of things? What's your greater philosophy on food?
Well, I mean, I just think that, food is life. It's not necessarily just for pleasure. It's not just for, energy. I mean, there's so much surrounded by it. Like, honestly, it is everything, right? It controls everyone's life. No matter the richest or the poorest, we all eat. And you want to talk about controlling your life, having control in your life. A lot of people do weird things to gain control over their life, and you 100% have control over your diet. Yeah. So make those choices, man. Make the right choices. Have the control that you need and that you want. You can. There's kind of this thing that I think about often, and it's: are you the hero of your own story? Right? When you watch a movie and you see Brad Pitt in playing the role, mm-hmm. you're just like, bro, this dude's awesome. Are you that awesome dude in your story? And I think a lot of us would go, I would probably write me a little different. Like if I was going to write the story of Tyler Pierce, I might make my stomach a little fitter, right? I'd have a 6-pack. I'd probably have, I would be less angry. Not that I'm angry all the time, but like I yell sometimes. I kind of have frustrations. And so when you kind of think about it in that respect, like, dude, you have control over your own life in a few ways. And one of those ways is food. 100%. So, yeah, man, food is life. And if you can control that and you can change that, dude, it will completely change everything about your psyche And I think your experience on this planet will be a whole lot better.
Well, I love it, man. I just want to say thanks again for joining us. And if people want to learn more about you and what you're doing, where is the best place to find all things Vegan Cyclist?
YouTube.
Yep.
So, YouTube, The Vegan Cyclist. I mean, that is my brand. I also have Instagram, The Vegan Cyclist, and Facebook, The Vegan Cyclist. But for the most part, I mean, the idea is that I make videos. And so check me out, man. Those videos, they come and go. Sometimes I'll upload a lot. Sometimes I'll upload little. I've kind of been in a sort of a podcast kick and been doing these race casts and doing a little bit more long conversations. It's kind of been a wealth of knowledge for someone just beginning in the cycling arena. The YouTube is heavily cycling based, 95% cycling. So it's not a whole lot about, plant-based, which I'd like to maybe do a little more about my lifestyle and that sort of thing. But for the most part, it has a lot to do with cycling, vlogs, tips, adventures. So if you got some time to watch me, check me out.
Sweet, man. Well, have an awesome week and weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, bro.
Peace,
Thank you so
brother.
much.
Of course.
Yeah.